Small business owner? Entrepreneur? Want to learn how online marketing can improve your business?
Your questions.
Our advice.
This is Not a Real Job.
Welcome to episode 58 of Not a Real Job, the greatest podcast on the internet that is specifically about marketing, entrepreneurship, small business stuff, and all those great things from the two greatest hosts in the world. One of whom is me, Joel Kelly. I do social media stuff for travel and tourism brands out of Nova Scotia, Canada.
And I am the other greatest host of all time, and I am Chris Van Patten, and I make websites and web apps from it seems like all over the Northeast of these great United States.
Are you back in the Big Apple, the Windy City, the city of brotherly love?
I'm not, actually. I am. I just got back upstate New York.
Upstate.
Yes, I was in Buffalo for a few days, speaking at WordCamp Buffalo, which was yesterday. Tons of fun. I helped organize WordCamp Buffalo in one of its early incarnations, and they've been kind enough to keep having me back. So kind enough or crazy enough, one or the other.
All you had to do was start the club to become a member of one.
Exactly. But I'm just going to ignore that. It was a lot of fun, though. And I sort of looking around yesterday, I was like, man, there are a lot of women here, which is unusual because it's basically a tech conference. I mean, it's not, heavy duty programming or anything, but it's a technical thing. And then I got the official number today and 48% women, which is amazing.
Wow. That's fantastic. Sorry. I'm just curious. What do you think, makes it a more welcoming conference? Like, can other conferences learn from something here?
I don't know that it's anything specific or anything that they're trying to do. There are some tech conferences that sort of make an active effort, and I don't think that happened here. Not to say that they shouldn't have or they should have or whatever, but they just didn't. So I don't really know. It's interesting because I've been to a lot of WordCamps, and they are definitely on the whole more women than your average tech conference, but this one in particular, I don't know what it was. Maybe just the when it was and where it was, and maybe it just all sort of collided and worked out really well. But it was a lot of fun, and I definitely recommend checking out your local WordCamp because chances are I'll be there speaking.
Great.
So there we have it.
I was going to do a joke about how WordCamp, you know what? No, I'm not even going to do it. I had a weird dream. I napped for most of the day because I had my Man Lorette party last night, and sure. I was out.
Your second.
Well, yeah, the first one was obviously the prime, like bachelor party prime. This
sure,
one
superior.
was like this one was like for all the, it wasn't really for me. It was for everyone else to get to see me,
Sure.
So I slept for most of the day because I was out pretty late. And I had a dream, because obviously I listen to Mbim while I sleep, because I can't sleep without the Brothers McElroy talking in my ears.
Whispering sweet nothings.
Yeah. But I had a dream that someone had photoshopped me into all the childhood photos of the Brothers McElroy. Yeah, and so I was kind of disappointed to then wake up and realize that this hadn't happened.
This alternate reality had not come to pass.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it was a bit of a letdown. So I guess all that to say, I'm feeling a little down, right now. That my life isn't quite as wonderful as it had seemed.
Hopefully we'll bring it up a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know how, but
yeah, I don't really.
Do our best.
and I feel like I've kind of given us a dead end here, conversation wise. There's not a lot of rich material to work with. But
sure, there's really no material to work with on any front.
No, I do feel better than I did last week.
That's a start. That's a good thing. Mm-hmm. Last week was, I don't know, not your finest hour, I would say.
It was not. It wasn't. I'm not proud of it. I'm not embarrassed. But it's just a moment with which I can't be super proud, which is rare for me.
Sure. That makes sense.
I'm messing with my audio levels here. I'm all up and down. I gotta focus.
Yeah. One thing at a time. Come on, we got to come up with content here because our fans haven't sent us any questions in months.
Right. So, did you get an Apple Watch yet?
Yeah, I got 3 of them. I got all of the Apple Watches.
One for each wrist.
Yeah. Well, actually, speaking of this, I was wondering earlier. I wonder how much we would have to pay to Apple to get us on everyone's iPhone.
Oh, man. Have you been to, what is it, like whoisyou2.tumblr.com? It's awesome.
I love that that's a thing.
Yeah, all these people have absolutely no idea. I made it days without the album on my phone. There was some glitch.
I still don't have it.
Oh man, it's like it's in like the cloud. Like it didn't actually download to the phone. Whatever. That would be a fucking move and a half if they did that. but I do have it. And
props for that.
And it is true. You can't get rid of it.
Huh. Yeah, I haven't even gotten it yet. So consider yourself lucky.
I will admit I haven't listened to it and am unlikely to. Which seems like a waste.
Not a big U2 fan?
I mean, I used to. When I was a kid, like it's not like I grew up in the era of
used
U2.
To?
I had like an aunt that was super into U2, so I listened to the albums. I listened to the greatest hits. I was into the Joshua Tree. I mean, I'm even young enough to have thought that that Beautiful Day was a pretty great track in its time.
I don't know any of the things that you're talking about.
That's fine, yeah. And you don't need to. Like they're certainly a band of some cultural importance, but they haven't made a good song in a long time. So this seems like on all fronts a really shameless tactic to make yourself relevant.
Didn't they do the song Livin' La Vida Loca?
Yep.
No, Vida La Vida. I was trying to make a Coldplay joke and I just bombed that. I'm sorry.
Didn't you made a Ricky Martin joke?
Inadvertently. So I guess that was a double layer joke there. Before we go too much further, are you drinking right now? Or are you still recovering?
Well, I'm recovering by drinking.
Well, what are you drinking?
Gotta calm the shakes. I have some bourbon and soda.
Classy.
What about you?
I'm drinking a blush wine, which is very good.
What is that?
Yeah. Blush wine is sort of somewhere in between a red and a white. This one happens to be made by family friends who have their own winery. So
wow.
Yeah, it's great. I'm loving it.
Nice. Or do you suspect that you might only be friends with them because they have their own winery?
I don't know if that was true originally, but I think it's probably the case now.
Now, yeah. I mean, friendships can only last a couple of years before there's some sort of stronger incentive to keep in touch.
Sure. Yeah, that especially in this modern age of ours with the Facebooks and I don't know. I don't know what point I'm making. You can tell folks that we are just scratching the bottom of the barrel for content here. This is what happens when you don't send in questions.
Yeah. So we'll probably just give them the silent treatment for the next 10 to 15.
I think that's a good idea.
A long blank audio track. Well, I mean, we grazed the Apple barrel. Let's the Apple barrel. Huh? Is that a restaurant? No, that's the
Apple
Cracker
Crate.
Barrel.
Yeah, there
Applebee's.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I don't really know that I have any strong points to make that haven't already been made. I guess I can say I'm probably going to get just the iPhone 6 and not the 6 Plus because that phone it's too much phone for me.
Sure.
And I'm a large person. The iPhone 6 Plus probably just looks proportional on a person of my size, but it's still, I mean, that's not going to fit in my pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, I have big pockets. I buy jeans specifically for the size of their pockets. I have a lot of gear to take around.
Mm-hmm. You and your cargo pants.
Well, the
famous
cargo
Joel Kelly cargos.
Well, cargos are no longer socially acceptable, so I've had to, put off childish things and switch to a normal jean pant, which doesn't have cargo pockets for all my gear and my
Deeply
tech.
skeptical.
You've seen me so recently, and I don't think I wore cargos at all.
I don't know.
I don't even think I wore shorts very much.
No, that I did notice that. It was strange.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I wear a lot of plaid shirts, and the one pair of shorts I have are also plaid. So there's just way too much plaid that happens.
I mean, you're Canadian, so I think maybe you're supposed to wear all plaid, but that's a different argument. Regarding Apple, though, I have to say I don't think I'm the target market for an Apple Watch. I don't think I'm ever going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I do feel, and I have to be careful because maybe in 5 years I'll be eating my words, but I was profoundly disappointed by the whole event. Unlike you, I am a small person. So the idea of a phone that is any bigger really than the 5S, I just don't think I can stomach that. Partly because I mentioned to somebody yesterday at WordCamp, I want to spend less time using my phone and electronics in general. And I think the intention, or not necessarily the intention, but with a bigger phone, sort of the idea is that you're going to use it for more things and it's going to become your primary computing device, right?
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily what I'm after. I want something that can get me very specific information at very specific times, but I'm not going to watch movies on it. I'm not going to be playing games. I don't think I have any games on my iPhone. To me, it's an information tool in very specific circumstances. If I need maps, if I need to access an email, if I need to text somebody, otherwise I really try to avoid using it.
Have you not just made somewhat of a compelling argument for the watch then? Keep your phone away. You don't need it. Put it in your bag. And you've got this watch for your maps, for your texts, for your emails.
No, perhaps to some people, yes. But for me, I feel like if it were a watch, I would be, I don't know, not information overload, but information addiction, I think would become a bit of an issue. And especially the idea of a thing vibrating on my wrist every time I get a notification of some kind, and having a Pavlovian response to that is really, I don't want to be alarmist and say it's really scary, but it's not something that I'm after in my life.
No, well, what I found is I have a Pebble, and I stopped using it because of that. It was only useful if you kept notifications on for every little thing. Mm-hmm. And of course, it just became too much. And I became the guy that was looking at my watch all the time. Exactly. When I can exercise some self-control and put my phone down,
I've
and
actually
not look at it for a little while.
On my phone, I've disabled, and I think we've talked about this on the show before, but I have disabled all notifications pretty much except for things from my bank, because I like to know if I'm out of money, and for text messages. Or iMessages if you are doing that kind of thing. Otherwise, I don't get email notifications. I don't get Facebook. I don't even have the app installed. I don't get Twitter notifications. If I want to look at those things, if I want to check those notifications or see if I have anything new, I have to make an active point of doing that. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, then the Apple Watch is pretty useless to me. But even bigger than that, even beyond just the fact that it's not something that I'm the right fit for, which is fine. I'm not the right fit for every product. Not everyone is the right fit for every product, but I feel like there had been some level of hype in the press, and sure, there always is with Apple. Everyone sort of, that's just a known factor when it comes to Apple. But I think a lot of the press was sort of making this out like the Apple Watch is going to revolutionize this field. And of course, nobody knew what to expect, really. They had an idea, but no one really knew what it was going to do. But the thing that I took away from that event was that watch, the Apple Watch, with the exceptions of a few features that are really just candy on top that don't really add any substance, it's basically the same as Android Wear. It can do basically all of the same things, with the exception of the heartbeat feature, which I really don't get, and drawing on your watch, which I'm sure that there's an Android watch out there that can do that. And it just felt like, I don't know. granted, when the iPhone came out, people were really kind of disappointed in that. There was no real app store ecosystem at that point. And of course, it's changed everything. But I don't...
Right.
Something about this feels different.
I want to agree, because I did feel that exact same sense of disappointment. But the more I've thought about it, I think you and I are just coming from a place where a smartwatch in general doesn't seem to have any utility for me. In the same way that I understood when the iPad came out, that much of the criticism was not about the device itself, but is there a utility for a tablet at all? And I think we're in that camp when it comes to this watch. Because I just don't see, the Moto 360, or as Gruber calls it, the Moto 270, because it's got that hilarious bit of screen cut off. Can you imagine a company shipping a product like that? But anyway,
honestly, I think the Moto 360 looks better than the Apple Watch. That's just putting it out there. I think it looks better.
I think it looks better for a small target market, a small part of the population. It looks the best. What Apple was going for was broader appeal, and definitely broader appeal among more fashion conscious and women. That's why it's got the two sizes, and that's why it's got all the straps. And the straps, like I was watching this. I watched the keynote at work, obviously, with a coworker who's a total admitted Google fanboy, and of course he had many, I'm not going to say wrong comments to make about a lot of things during that keynote. But we were both saying those strap designers are the show. Like they rocked it. Like you can't look at those straps and be disappointed. Like every one of them looks. And I think so much of this watch, just like with the iPad, so much of the utility is probably not going to be obvious until you're using it. Like I was a partial iPad detractor, only in the sense that I didn't see the point. But now, like my iPad Air and I are inseparable when I'm at home. It is my primary computing device when I'm in my home, to the extent that it probably annoys my fiance. But I wake up in the morning, my iPad is on my nightstand, and I'm immediately on it. Like it is so useful to me. And part of what I think a lot of us were expecting is we got a first generation Apple Watch, and what we were expecting was the Apple Watch 5S or the Apple Watch Air. Like it's just the fifth generation of this watch is going to blow everyone's mind. Well, it's not going to blow it because everyone is never impressed with Apple stuff, but it's going to be so much better and so much more obviously interesting. And I think we're just so used to fifth generation products from Apple. It's been since the iPad that they've launched a new product. We're just not used to seeing something that's not perfectly refined.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right about the idea that this isn't interesting to me and you right now because we don't see the utility. And I'm not sure that there's a whole lot of utility there, but I think we're going to see that change over the next few years. And
we have to accept that the thing is $349, which means there's a thin margin, but a margin on these devices. They're going to make money on every single one they sell. They don't need for this to have a massive install base. They probably have a number that's incredibly attainable to make this a big success. So it's not going anywhere. There's going to be 5 generations at least of this watch, and I'm kind of excited to see where this thing is in 5 years.
Yeah, I'm absolutely in the same boat. I think maybe in 2 years, maybe even less than that, I think once this thing is in developers' hands and they're able to do interesting things, then it's more useful. Sort of on another note with this, I think the most interesting thing out of the day, and it certainly in terms of what the Apple Watch can do, is the payments, Apple Pay.
Oh my God, yes.
That, I think, is going to change the game in a really big way.
Absolutely. And all the best commentary about this has been, finally, there's a company offering to take your wallet from you that has no vested interest in stealing your information. Like, Google can't do it. Facebook can't do it. PayPal can't do it. Like, these are all institutions that have some interest in knowing every detail of your life. Apple doesn't want to. I mean, what we see with the iCloud thing is they probably less than ever want your information. They can't make money off of your information, so they don't want to have it, which I like. I like that my relationship with Apple is that I bought a $900 phone from them and we're square. Like, they don't want anything else out of me after I bought this phone, other than to buy another phone next year. They don't want any of my information. They don't want to track my purchases. That makes me feel so much more confident. And I think it's gonna run the show. I mean, Apple Pay it's been a while since there's been a product announcement that was so anticlimactic because it's so obviously going to work. There's just no universe in which this isn't a massive success that everyone loves. It just has to happen. It's so perfect.
Yeah, and I think, it's interesting because Google has really they have had this product offering for a while, but I think it hasn't had the traction, and that's due in part to this lack of trust maybe toward Google.
Not to mention they're not in a position to negotiate with carriers or banks. That's
sure. So it becomes a real
thing.
challenge for them to actually spread this thing, and Android fragmentation, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's so inevitable, especially because that's where the industry is heading, these touch-based NFC payments and things. But I think Apple was smart to wait. I know there were a lot of people who were hoping that this would come in with the 5 or the 5S. But I think by waiting, they're able to do this in a way that nobody else is able to do, in part because of what you mentioned, and also in part because I think they've had the time to look at the ecosystem and see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, and this is what happens when a company has $150 billion in the bank or something, and the ability to ride out some bad days with their stock, unlike other companies. They're simply not chasing, other than these stupid big phones. They're not chasing shareholder demands as much as another company might. So they have the ability to wait until something is perfect, which gets us back to why the watch, if it wasn't perfect. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm hoping with the stupid big phone thing, I'm hoping that this, the 6S or whatever it is, I'm hoping that they do an upgraded version that is small again.
You think they're going to go small?
I don't know that they will, but I would love to see, because the 5S is relatively new. So, maybe in a year or a half year or so, they'll say, hey, we've upgraded the 5S to better specs. I just don't want to see the 5S die on the vine, or, that form factor die on the vine, because I think for a lot of people, that's really all that they want. That's certainly all that I want. But who am I?
Yeah, I know. My 5S, it's my favorite. I don't know. I guess the iPad Air is close, but the 5S is just my favorite product that I think I've ever owned. I don't have a case for my phone. I drop it at least once a week on a reasonably hard surface, so it's dinged to shit, but it still works. The screen isn't cracked. It feels like you're holding a solid brick of metal. That it's just impressive. And yeah, it is a shame for them to abandon what I think to so many of us was as close to perfect. Maybe a little, thinner. Sure, let's make it thinner. But yeah, going bigger just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I think
it's such a great reading device as it is too. Like, there's the screen, there's plenty of screen here. But I mean, we are young, and we do have probably, I mean, I know you're a glasses person, but I mean, we probably are just better at looking at small things than, I don't know, a generation older than us, maybe. I don't want to be normative about it, but maybe that's part of it, is that maybe we're just not the market for a bigger device, but there's a big market out there.
Yeah, maybe in a year we'll find that we've both come around and love the bigger devices, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I don't know how that's going to happen, because I'm not going to buy the big one, or the bigger one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not.
You just said at the beginning that you were going to.
I'm buying the 6, not the 6 Plus.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, so the 6 will be bigger, of course, but I'm not going for the giant phablet.
Yeah. I mean, my hope is that in a year they'll do an updated 5S, even if they keep the name, or maybe they call it the 6 Lite or something. I don't know what they call it, but that's what I'm hoping, and we'll see what happens there.
The iPhone Mini?
Sure, I'll take that. That sounds great. Yeah. Love it. Sold. I want 3.
Yeah, I mean, that actually would make, there's at least precedent for that. So it won't feel quite like backtracking.
that form factor with NFC added, and I'm a happy person.
Agreed. Yeah.
Cool. You managed to talk for like 25 minutes. How'd that happen?
I don't know. Should we just cut off the first 5 minutes, or should we make people have to go through that because they didn't send in questions?
Yeah, I think they need to suffer.
Okay.
It's sort of like our Sad Libs is just sad podcast.
I don't mind that. I'm a sad lib fan, I gotta say.
I am as well. I enjoy them.
I just love Travis is obviously the greatest. I mean, if we had to pick a brother, I mean, it would be Travis, right? Like
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. The middle brother always gets the love.
Yep. Anyway.
I know, because I have no love.
Yeah. So sad. All right. Cool. Housekeeping. Send us in questions, guys. Come on.
We are marketing and digital professionals. We are here standing by like the Butterball hotline of the internet, ready to answer all your queries.
What the hell is the Butterball hotline?
It's a thing with meat you wouldn't understand, vegan.
American meat. Ugh. Anyway.
Yeah, so send us questions, notarealjob.com/questions. If you're an email person, questions@notarealjob.com. You can also send us general thoughts, comments. Tell us if you hate the show. Tell us if you love the show at info@notarealjob.com. But if you do love the show, I sincerely hope that you will go on iTunes and give us a rating of 5 stars would be cool. And it helps people know that we're actually worth their time and worth listening to. So you can do that at notarealjob.com/iTunes, and that'll open up the iTunes podcast store if you have iTunes installed. If not, then you can't rate us on iTunes, and why are you even bothering? I think, is there anything else?
No. Check us out on Twitter. We're both there. At Kristen Patton, at Joel Kelly, at Nerdcast.
Yeah. Got a few new followers today, which is awesome.
Facebook.com/notarealjob.
And that's an actual thing that we still do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. And both of us are on Twitter, at Chris Van Patten, at Joel Kelly. And you can
literally just said that.
Well, I literally wasn't listening. I was just trying to think of other things, and I sort of lost track. I think that's it.
I feel like we've been trying to stretch this a bit. Is it because?
Oh, also because I feel bad. Yeah. But also I'm so excited Lindsay's back this week, so we'll actually be like tweeting and consistently, and the show notes won't suck. They won't go out late like they did last week. Sorry about that.
That was embarrassing for everyone.
So yeah, that's exciting. Yay, welcome back, Lindsay.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Cool.
I feel like I had something else, but I'm just gonna say, we should plan our Halifax show at some point. We're gonna have to record when you're.
Is that actually
up here?
Like the day after your wedding?
Well, we're not gonna do it the day after the wedding. We'll do it. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
So it'll have to be the day before the wedding.
Probably, yes.
I'm there for 3 days.
All right, perfect.
2 nights. That's it. Cool. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Trip.
Indeed.
All right. Bye, everybody. I love you all.
Bye.